we had a client reach out to us located in Barra, just purchased a property, and he had no internet. He had very limited security, and he wasn't quite sure on really how any of it really worked as well, and wanted a very reliable and high-speed internet service. So we opted for Starlink, naturally, as it is high speed and reliable. And on top of that, he wanted it to be very secure. So we implemented a very high-end ubiquity switch and router. Just means we can remotely access things, and it also has a built-in very high-grade firewall and security settings that we can change. He had a main house. He also had 4 other sheds as well that he wanted to store things in securely. So we first started off by supplying and installing high-speed internet there. The Wi-Fi on the Starlink didn't quite reach to all the corners of the house and the property, so we did multiple access points all around the house for Wi-Fi. And then we also did point-to-point to each shed, essentially beaming the internet from the main house to the sheds, and then putting an access point into each shed as well. So you just walk around the property and you have Wi-Fi just everywhere on your phone. And then that allowed us to pretty much install a really high-end security system. He had an existing panel, but it wasn't very high-tech, so we just replaced it all, switched it out for a newer alarm panel, a newer keypad, touchscreen, all that sort of stuff. And it could remotely be accessed as well, so you can make sure when he's not at home that his security system's all armed and good to go. And on top of that, having the internet in all those sheds allowed us to put in cameras into each shed, just so he could check on all his valuables. Yeah, once we finished all of that stuff, he was quite happy with it all. So then he asked us if we could do a smart lighting setup for him. It also involved the house and the other 4 sheds. So essentially, we kept all his existing lighting systems, all his existing switches and everything to make it easy, and just sort of modified it so he could access it all through his phone for the house and the sheds, make sure all the lights and stuff were turned off when he was leaving, and if he's coming home, that certain lights turned on at a certain time and all that sort of stuff. Since like it was an existing home, he already had all his lighting all set up. Had really nice pendant lighting and a nice Clipsal satin finish on all his switches, and he wanted to keep it all the same. So essentially, we put in a switch behind the plate. None of it's visible, but that switch then talks to the internet, which allows him to do all his lighting through his phone, but keep his existing nice switches and lights. We ended up putting in a server at his place, which then allowed us to integrate all these smart home and security apps into one app for him. Just opens up the app, it'll show his cameras, he can click that he's home and it turns on certain lights for him, make sure his alarm's all armed, all through the same app. So it's nice and simple for him to use. That client's really happy with us. I mean, he started moving in with essentially nothing, and now he's got a nice setup.